pair of stories, one from each group, Bunwurrung and the Wurundjeri, the creation of that landscape. Well, we started off from the position that we wanted to tell the story of the space, and I think the Arts Centre and I agree that there's no way that you could tell a story about that space without talking about the communities that live there first. And we started looking into that and we realised there were two groups in the north and the south bank, basically, the Bunwurrung and the Wurundjeri. We decided to tell a pair of stories, one from each group, about the creation of that landscape. So we looked at the creation of the river from the perspective of the Wurundjeri and the creation of the bay from the perspective of the Bunwurrung. These stories were theirs and we were just acting as a conduit for that. These stories, as they're oral traditions, they're designed to be instructional and useful and functional. And without language, we had to somehow translate that into the screen. We started with this big piece of glass and then we mix up a special paint that is slower drying because we don't want it to literally dry by the time we finished painting from one side to the other. And literally we get the frame right, we take a photo with a camera and then we push the paint around literally with cotton buds, Q-tips, paintbrushes, palette knives, our fingers until we get the frame that we like, and we take another photo and then we just keep going again and again and again. It takes a long time to paint up individual frames, but once we've painted up one, we actually pushed the paint into a new shape, but it gives this sort of fluid, slightly amorphous kind of feel to the animation. It's an oral story. I imagine these are told by people around the campfire to their children. And every time I looked back and thought about the way my father told me stories around the campfire, my memories were always evolving and changing. We use these transitions because they create that dreamlike continuous movement. I know every time I have a dream, I find myself in one place and then I'm in another and I don't know how I got from one to the other. We just move through. And that's kind of what I was trying to evince with those. With this super wide screen, close-ups are awkward because there's a lot of negative space. But sometimes we just went with that. We let it go like that. There's a very interesting, well, I think a very interesting shot that with a little boy on his hands and knees in front of the hole with the tree up on the side. And in order to get that to fit the frame, we actually just bent the entire scene like a banana. And we put stuff here and we put stuff here. But instead of having a flat horizon line, we just bent everything and it worked beautifully. Every project has a degree of learning involved, and this one just blows everything else I've ever done away. Obviously we had the constraints of the screen, the Kulin stories, our ways of working on glass, all of that was effectively new and we just leapt in both feet first. The Bunwurrung story, what I was really trying to show there is what it was like for the first people who lived there all those many years ago. Before Bunjil came and brought the law, there was conflict and people were out of step with land. And I just wanted to show that the people that came did in turn come to live in alignment with nature. With the old man story, it is basically a parable. It serves two functions. It tells us how the river got there, but it's also about how old men should treat young boys well, I guess. And it's a sort of moral lesson. As I was saying to the elders from both camps, you know, these stories have been told for thousands and thousands of years, passed down from generation to generation. And I've lived on this Yarra River my entire life, and I didn't get told those stories, and I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to help keep that being passed on.